Hello and welcome to Mission Backlog. Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins is my fifth review in this backlog playlist series. I hope you're enjoying the reviews so far and maybe have been inspired to try some of the games. I've been meaning to play some iconic retro games that are significant to the history of gaming, and it doesn't get much more iconic than our favourite plumber, Mario. I was a little worried with Super Mario Land 2 being on the original Game Boy and released in 1992 that it wouldn't have aged well. But it holds up incredibly well with some precise platforming and some very creative world design. I think 2D platformers must be one of the best genres for aging well. I'm sure this game will still be fun to play in another 30 years. It's kind of like a fine wine. I played it on my Anbernic, a modern emulation console styled after the original Game Boy, so very fitting, and I think it's a perfect way to play if you don't have the original hardware. As I played on the Anbernic, it could play slightly differently than on the original hardware, so just bear that in mind. I also made use of the save state functionality, which certainly made things a little easier. Not that it's a particularly difficult game to start with. I don't have any regrets using save states. It's just a nice way to save time, as my reason for playing retro games is to get a better understanding for the history of gaming, not to kind of punish myself and replay levels over and over again. Anyway, I had a pleasantly good time with this game, and I feel I've added another patch to my gaming credibility. And at only 3 hours to beat, it doesn't take up too much of your time either. There isn't exactly a deep story, as it's a 2D platformer on the Game Boy, though there is one there. This is what it says in the instruction booklet. Danger, danger. While I was away crusading against the mystery alien Tatanga in Sarasa Land, an evil creep took over my castle and put the people of Mario Land under his control with a magic spell. The intruder goes by the name of Wario. He has been jealous of my popularity ever since we were boys, and has tried to steal my castle many times. It seems he has succeeded this time. Wario has scattered the 6 golden coins from my castle all over Mario Land. These golden coins are guarded by those under Wario's spell. Without these coins, we can't get into the castle to deal with Wario. We must collect the 6 coins, attack Wario in the castle, and save everybody. It's time to set out on our mission. So effectively, you have to gather 6 golden coins, and then storm the castle, and kick Wario out on his ass. These 6 coins are found in 6 different themed worlds, which are all varied and exquisitely designed, changing up the gameplay and enemies every time. These worlds are, in no particular order, Tree Zone, funnily enough set in a giant tree infested with giant insects. Space Zone, again funnily enough set in space and guarded by Tatanga. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but never mind. And he is the boss of the original Super Mario Land, so he has returned. Macro Zone, which is set in a house, but Mario is shrunk down, so think kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Pumpkin Zone, which is kind of a horror Halloween style, and it's set inside a giant Halloween lantern. There's Mario Zone, which is set inside a giant mechanical version of Mario himself. Not sure why that is in his kingdom, but there you go. And Turtle Zone, which is set inside a giant tortoise, with much of this world taking place underwater, so that's where you get all your water levels. And then, not part of the 6, but the final level is set inside Mario's castle itself, and there's a huge difficulty spike when you get to this. It ends in the final fight with Wario, and in the end Wario resorts to using the same power-ups as Mario has been using during the game, and you will have to defeat him several times while he's using each of these power-ups. Interestingly, this is the first time Wario ever makes an appearance in any game. And following his success in this game, he was developed into a long-term character and started receiving his own games. In fact, the sequel to this game even starred him, and that was called Wario Land Super Mario Land 3. I think they were too scared to drop the Mario from the title. So if you're a fan of Wario games, this is where it all began. The game is quite open from the beginning, with the option to tackle all 6 worlds in any order that you like. This is great in that you can jump around and get a quick taste of each world if you like, or leave one to come back later if you're getting a bit stuck. Though it also means that they're all quite easy, which I assume was a design decision, as any world could be the players first, but it does mean there's not a huge amount of difficulty in this game. There are 7 bosses throughout a playthrough, including Wario himself, and I found them all a bit too easy. Nearly all of them simply require jumping on them 3 times and they're done. I understand they couldn't make it too difficult, as it's a game aimed at kids primarily, though I would like a bit more variety even if it's not actually any more difficult. I think this would be a great first 2D Mario game for children, or anyone new to platformers as well. The sprites are nice and large, which makes it easier to take out enemies and leads to faster paced gameplay and more confident, precise jumps. I haven't got any gameplay of the first one, but look at some gameplay of the first Super Mario Land and you'll see the difference in sprite sizes. The larger sprites also allow the excellent enemy designs to be shown off more, and there's a huge variety of enemies that you encounter during your playthrough. The platform is almost perfected by this stage, with basic running and jumping feeling great, with just the right level of floatiness and slide, as I call it. Holding jump button for longer delivers a higher jump, and with the addition of sprinting leads to an even longer or higher jump. I did have a bit of a problem with the controls, which I thought may have just been a result of playing on the Anbernic, though I've since found out it actually was a problem originally. The sprint and jump buttons are the other way around in this game, so compared to some of the other Mario games. So this makes it a lot more difficult to consistently sprint and jump at the same time. Now, it's only a small problem, and I did get used to it, but I thought it was worth a mention. I did realise later that I probably could have just changed the controller mapping on the Anbernic, but never mind. Pickups in the game include the mushroom to increase size, which is found in most Mario games. Interestingly though, as the Game Boy didn't have colour, they changed the extra life from a green mushroom to a heart, as you wouldn't be able to tell the difference otherwise. The mushroom pickup allows you to take an extra hit before losing a life, and allows you to break blocks with the spin jump as well. There's also a carrot, which turns you into Bunny Mario, and allows you to extend your jump distances and control descents, which is almost essential in certain levels. And as well, there is the Fire Flower, which turns you into Fire Mario and gives you the ability to throw fireballs, all very useful for dealing with enemies. I really like that you can backtrack as well, which was a given in later Mario games, but you couldn't in the previous Super Mario Land. Once you got moved on, you couldn't go backwards, so if you missed something, you had to replay the level again. At the end of each level, there is a bell set up in a high position, and if you manage to hit it, you will be rewarded with a minigame at the end of the level, which are great for getting extra lives. And I stumbled across a surefire way of guaranteeing 3 extra lives every time I played one of these minigames. You just simply press the button when the grabber reaches the left hand side, and I'll put a video clip in so you see what I mean. There's also a shop in the world map which allows you to spend your coins for a random prize, which could be extra lives or power-ups. It's a nice change from the 100 coins giving you an extra life, and it's just something else on the map for you to kind of do. Obviously it's an older game, so isn't going to be much of a stunner graphically. As I mentioned earlier, the sprites are really nice and the backgrounds are impressively detailed. For its time, I'd say the game is a looker. Being released on the original Game Boy, it's not in colour either, which I thought may detract, and though it would be nicer in colour I think, I soon forgot all about it while I was playing. One of my favourite games, Limbo, is in black and white, so it just goes to show you don't need colour to have a good time. In terms of performance, I can't really judge as I didn't play it on the original hardware, though it played perfectly well for me. It was smooth throughout, and I never felt my executions were being affected by performance at all. The sound was a real surprise to me. Both the sound effects and the music are of a quality that I didn't expect to come out of a Game Boy. There's plenty of tunes which fit with the theme of the world you're in, which is impressive considering the limitations of the hardware. The sound effects are great, with some very familiar ones in place by this stage that have been carried through to most of the other Mario games ever since. Well, this is my first ever Game Boy completion, and it's great to get another retro game off the backlog. I was really impressed by this game, especially considering the hardware it was released on. The core Mario mechanics are well and truly here in this game, with accurate and rewarding platforming. If you've ever played Super Mario World on the SNES, then you'll feel right at home with this game. The level of creativity and detail in the various worlds is a joy to experience, and you can see the beginnings of ideas that repeat themselves throughout the Mario franchise. My rating system is buy, play if it's free, or avoid. This is definitely a buy. I'd say this is an essential play for anyone who is a Mario fan or a fan of retro games, or even anyone that wants to just dabble in some of the older games. Thank you for watching, and please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you've enjoyed the video. Now on to the next one.